weekend all. Ira Epstein with your weekly Spider ETF subscriber video for this Sunday, the 23rd of June, 2024. Well, I hope your weather's as beautiful as we're having it here in the Midwest. It got hot, but now it's cooler again, and we're getting rains, which is great, and they come and go, so it doesn't ruin anyone's day or evening, which is ideal. We're going to get the Dallas Fed Reserve Bank Monday at 9:30 a.m. Baker Hughes did come out on Friday. More rig counts, drops. We're down to 94 under a year ago period. The cattle on feed report, I think, came out a little bit to the bearish side. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. They put more on feed and they didn't sell as many, and we have a bit more than the market was estimating. That's the way I'm looking at it. But I don't think it's enough to break the market a dramatic amount one way or the other, to the upside or down. In terms of positions, I was wrong. On the 19th, I did tell you to sell short XME at 58.57. As it turns out on Friday, you were stopped out at 59.06. The risk was pennies, 50 cents roughly. If you take a look, 43, actually it's 49 cents was the total risk here, as you can see. And I thought it was worth it at that point, and we'll see what happens. Just didn't work out. You are still long on a daily basis as well. Gold at 215.06 with a stop of 213.39. And on weekly, the only thing you're still in from way back December 4th is your NVIDIA. After all the stock splits and me getting you out of positions, you have 300 shares left, 30% of your 100 share at 45.48. You know, this is still a triple price, and look at how much you've made shares. So we've done a good job there. As for the marketplace, when we take a look, NVIDIA was down $4 at 126.57. UNG gave back a lot. We traded that well this week. In the soybean market and the futures, we traded that real well this week, and we lost in the XME. When I'm wrong, if that's what I'm going to be wrong, I'll take it all day long. I like ARM. I'm looking for pullbacks to get long on over time. Boeing closer to 160 could get my attention. Amazon is a stock that I keep looking at. I want you to get into it. It's a question, how can we do it? That makes sense. And you have a mixed bag in the stock indices right here, but maybe there's something to do. So let's go to the chart action. And remember, this is your template. And via your template, what we're always looking at is, we start at the bottom. Are we embedded or overbought? Embedded occurs when the red line and the yellow line are both over 80 for at least several periods. Well, in this case, you came back under them. This is the first period where both are over. Second, now, no buy signal. You're just in an overbought market, over the upper Bollinger Band. I wouldn't do anything with it. In XBI, you have a lower low and a higher high. Now let's review a couple of other things. Here you have the Bollinger Bands in white. The gray line is, and maybe we should come back here. The gray line is your 200-week average. The green line is your 100. The 18-week is here. You're going to plot this color, what would you call that? I guess a pinkish color. If market's over the 18-day average, you plot that at the low. It's the 3-week moving average. When you're underneath it, you plot it of the high. It's that simple, of the 18-day average. Well, in this case, the market is over the 18-day average in red, so you're plotting the 3-day moving average of lows, but the pattern is no good. You have a higher high, lower low. There's no set pattern. You've pretty much just been sideways since March in this market. In the real estate sector, it is trying to tell you to go long. Higher lows, higher highs. Off the weekly chart. Number two, if you come to the daily, that's not the case. You have lower highs, lower lows into the support here. So for this chart to get friendly, you need what? Well, you can't take out 38.09. You haven't done that. You would really need it to take out 38.63, and then you could consider longs. I'm not keen on wanting to be long, very frankly, anything in commercial real estate, and that's what you have to do for this. We'll see what goes. In XLB, we have a pattern of higher lows, lower highs against the 18-day average. That is not a trend trade. In XLI, you have the higher high, the lower low. There's nothing right there. You're looking at this market fighting a battle right now at the 18-day average of closes. On a weekly basis, it's about as neutral as you can get. Now in XLV, you're getting overbought in an uptrend on the daily chart. If we take a look here, are we embedding? So follow me. Certainly looks that way, doesn't it? Yep. So on the weekly chart, we can look at this Monday morning and decide if you get a good break. Is the market a buy in here? Trying to match up, what does that mean for this chart? This chart just overbought, but not over the Bollinger Band. Therefore, off the daily chart, it could be a buy. We'll keep that ready. In ITB, the home construction still bearish. Too oversold to want to go short. I hope you see that. So I wouldn't have you deploy new money. And you hit the lower Bollinger Band on the daily where short covering should be seen. But nothing's helping this market in the way of starts, sales, or permits. We saw all come out this week and they were terrible. In the consumer staple, friendly. Now, is it friendly enough to be a buy or is it overbought? Both numbers over 80. Look at slow stochastics. Not over 80, not over 80. Overbought market in an uptrend. So I don't see any play that you get there, and you don't have the same either here. So nothing to do with either. Then in the financial sector, the trend has been down. The market keeps going to the 18-week average, going nowhere with it. On the daily, when we look at the market, you have no trend. You have a lower low, higher high that 3 days in a row just goes to the 18-day average and sitting there void of a trend. In XLE, you have a higher high, lower low into the support of the 50-week moving average, along with the window envelope, finding some support and oversold. Nothing to do there. XLY, lower low, higher high. That's not a trend of any type. So I step over here and you're right up to the Bollinger Band. But are you getting yourself overbought or embedded? Watch. Week 1, 2, 3. So we have the embedded reading, which tells me that on the consumer discretionary, on the first good hard break, we are looking to be a buyer. In XLC, you have a market that's fully embedded. Same thing. So I wanted to come back where you can own this market here. I went to the daily charts to see where's the right spot off of here. And off of here, it's in an uptrend as well. And up here, your difficulty is you're buying the third flip of the window envelope, but it's not overbought. And on this chart, at 83.25, if it were to just fall there until it would lose the embedded reading, I like it. So let's do it. And let's do it off the weekly chart. So XLC off the weekly chart. I want you to buy it at 83.25. There's a caveat. Because it's embedded, it cannot take out this week's high of 85.08. If it does, you cannot buy that. If it doesn't, you're buying at 83.08. You're to take half profit, 83.25 rather. You're to take half profit against the upper Bollinger Band and hold the balance, seeing how far this market will run. Okay, so there we go with that one. In XLU, the utility. So we've had in a market play here, 62.65 to 62.55. Lower low, higher high. Got for 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row over the upper Bollinger Band, and then the correction began. You've lost the bullish embedded reading. The odds favor you're going to go down to 67.05 before you get to 72.91. Be patient. There's room to play. In KRE, you've gotten down to your targets of the 50-day average and the Bollinger Band together, still staying somewhat in a sideways action. I'm not seeing on the regional banks anything that I want to do from a buy zone. The question is to sell, and it's a bit oversold here. What about on the weekly? The weekly's actually got higher lows, higher highs, but under all the key averages. No setups. MGK, this is the mega cap. They've taken leadership recently. They're getting a lot of talk on CNBC. I mean, I keep hearing that. 3 weeks over the upper band now. It's a sucker play to buy over the band. You only stay over at 5% of the time. And you don't have a real trend at work in terms of the swing line here, but you have the embedded reading. So everything's on an embedded reading. Give me a good break, and I would be telling you, hey, we could be stepping into this market. Not yet. Stocks is overbought over the upper Bollinger Band and getting to it and running into the resistance. When you and I look at the daily chart here, you can see how you've stepped out of everything and lost your bullish embedded reading, which favored the market going to 24.44. So look for more of a pullback in that. In Apple, I don't care the name of the stock. You don't buy upper Bollinger Bands. Let this pull back to where you can own it better. Microsoft, you don't buy upper Bollinger Bands. Wait for it to pull back. Not embedded either. NVIDIA, I expect a pullback here. So the question is there a spot here for you to buy another 5 or 10%? Well, you lost the embedded reading on the daily. I think you're going to 122.21. Here, that would take you to 117.77. Let's see what it looks like Monday. I might tell you for the first time to step back in. You own 30%. Maybe we'll pick up 5% more. We'll see what we want to do. Got a ways to handle it. Amazon. We've got a market caught and coming up to the big resistance in an overbought market. Nah, don't want you to reach for that. I'm looking for a break for whatever reason. More bad news from Boeing down into the 160s where I think long term this chart could be a surprise and want to just be held for a while. No stops, just holding it as an overall investment. Every now and then I do that, and we'll see if that's something to do. We'll talk about it. Hasn't done that yet. SPY, over the upper Bollinger Band, I'm not seeing anything there. And when I look over here, I see a market that's gotten and ran the upper Bollinger Bands correcting. The market fell back to the first support in SPY where it should have held, which is the 3-day average of lows on the daily, but I would never have you buy the upper Bollinger Band. That's why you didn't do anything. QQQ, over the upper Bollinger Band. Here too, embedded reading. This could have been the buy zone. I didn't do it. I don't want you to buy the upper Bollinger Band. DIA, not the same case. Higher lows. If we take a look here, 398.82 to 401, higher high. This is the support zone on the weekly. What's the daily looking like? Too overbought. It's saying it might want to pull back to 388.30. Okay, so we'll take a hard look at that 18-day average with stops under 380.40. Let's play it off the daily. We get the same thing, and the daily's keeping you from buying it right here. In IWM, this is still bearish. So I still very much like the bear side of this market. So can you sell this market again at 202.82 with stops over 207.56? Well, if you did 202, you're only looking for 194.65. Let's first understand that. Let's take a look at the daily chart here. 202 would be up here. And you'd actually, if you got to that number, if you got there, you'd be right at the 18-day average. You could set up higher lows, higher highs for a buy signal there. So that becomes interesting. The two aren't in quite agreement. Let's wait and just see which way we want to go with that. I don't think you put out anything on it right now. In DWCPF, this is still very much in the bear camp on the weekly. If anything, it's a short sale at 2016.96 with stops over 20.45.64. I won't follow it, but I tell it to you, government people. Most of my clients aren't trading $2,000 a share stocks. That's why. Get a split in it, and we'll be trading it aggressively. But I really don't like trading stocks over 700, so it gets difficult. VXF, lower highs, lower lows, bearish on the small to mid cap here. Okay, and what about this chart? Lower highs, lower lows. Oh yeah. So the resistance is going to be right in here. So on the weekly chart, which one is better? Well, if you go short at 169.41, you're going to risk to 172.08, $3. The sale up here is going to be in the, let's call it the 168.30 level, and I wouldn't want to see it over 168.38, but it wouldn't negate the weekly chart. So it's the weekly chart that I think you want to move off of. So on the mid-cap stocks, I'm going to put down for VXF short. Got that off the weekly. 169.41. Stop. 172.09. Okay? Alrighty. So we're getting a few things that we're getting done here. Gold. I had you buy the gold off the daily, and we're under the gun here. I had you buy it in here. Your stop doesn't change. Get under this number. I'm wrong. The market's holding up on the weekly. It has come back finally into the zone where it's no longer overbought. Out of that completely. It's got to prove itself. If I'm wrong on the trade. GLD, absolutely no setup. Fell apart right back under the 18-day average. GDX on the weekly. You're correcting still. An overbought condition. You had an embedded reading that was lost, as you can see. Should have made a run at the 18-day average, which it's done. XME, I already told you that we were wrong on this. You lost the embedded reading is why. So in going short, the market should not have lost that embedded reading again. It did. I'm out of the trade. XGD, you lost the bullish embedded reading. See it right here, and you lost it. Should make a deeper run to the 118.94. We'll see if it does it. SLV, never did embed, just overbought. So it's correcting that condition. And on the daily, you have the trend up, but the bias down, not going anywhere. SIL, you've lost the bullish embedded reading. You often go to the 18-day average when that happens. When we take a look at the daily here, you lost the bearish embedded reading, so you should be going back up. Does that make sense? They are all fighting each other, one going down, one saying go up. In the copper market, I think you're getting to the point where copper doesn't have to fall anymore. It's back down to a number I frankly, when it was all the way up here, didn't think you were going to revisit, but you did. You've worked your way out of being overbought on the weekly. And on the daily chart, you had a bearish embedded reading that you lost that says prices should go to the 46.27 zone, wherever the 18-day is. So I see these two matching up to give a bounce. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but that's what it says. TLT's too overbought to want to be a buyer. Same on BND. Then when we come over together to EFA, higher high, lower low, no setup for me. USO, higher high, lower low, no setup at all. Oversold as can be in VDE, nothing to do. Oversold as can be in OIH, nothing to do. XOP, down and oversold, nothing to do there. And in that gas, you had a great trade this week. You made money on it. I guessed it right with the weather, and then had you come out, as we don't know if it's going to continue up. Plus, you're at the Bollinger Band. You don't want to hang around that anymore. So we just say that's over. Then we get last to the currencies. And in FXE, the trend is what? Well, you have a higher high, lower low on the weekly, no setup. And in the dollar, a lower low and a higher high. No setup on that one. Last Ethereum, overbought, no trend, not a lot to do. So we've got a couple of trades. Got the same thing going on in the futures. I will catch up with you all first thing in the morning.